Hey everyone, I'm Coriander and welcome to another explainer. Today we are taking on a fish that honestly isn't just a fish, it's a literal underwater freight train. I'm talking about the Giant Trevally, or the GT for short. Now, if you're looking for a quiet, relaxing day on the water, yeah, this is absolutely not it. We're talking extreme saltwater combat that requires intense tactics, some seriously heavy-duty gear, and genuine nerves of steel. Just to set the scene, listen to this visceral description from one of our sources. The fish strikes like something through a brick at your lure. That is exactly what you're up against out there. They don't nibble, they don't test the waters, they commit fully and violently. It's a high-stakes battle where literally one single mistake means your gear is instantly turned into scrap metal. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our structured battle plan for today. First, meet the reef gangster. 2, the physics of popping. 3, the deadly pause trap. 4, heavy-duty gear check. And finally, surviving the impact strike. Starting with Section 1, meet the reef gangster, the anatomy of an apex predator. So to survive out here, we really need to understand the biological background of Coriander ignobilis, the undisputed king of the reef. And honestly, it all makes perfect sense when you look at how their anatomy aligns with their terrifying menu. Check out the GT's build. A steep forehead, this highly compressed muscular body, and ridiculously thick tail. Every single physical feature is perfectly optimized to launch explosive short-range attacks. And their prey? We aren't just talking about regular baitfish here. They eat crustaceans, baby turtles, and they've even been documented rocketing straight out of the ocean to snatch seabirds right out of the air. They are purely built for dominance. And they pack some serious mass into that muscular frame. A fully grown adult GT can reach up to 170 centimeters in length and push a massive 80 kilograms. To put that into perspective, that's roughly 176 pounds. Just imagine a nearly 6-foot, 176-pound muscle-bound bully charging full speed at your lure. The sheer physical intimidation of a fully grown reef gangster is just off the charts. All right, Section 2, the physics of popping, mimicking the distress call. So how do we actually draw this massive predator out from those sharp, deep coral reefs? Well, what's really interesting here is how the physics of this specific surface lure actually weaponizes sound. When you cast a large, buoyant popper toward the reef structure, its large, cupped face catches the water, creating this massive chug or bloop sound. Now, this isn't just a tiny surface splash. It creates a literal underwater sonic boom. It perfectly mimics the chaotic commotion of a struggling bait ball, sending out a distress call that triggers an immediate, hardwired predatory response. To create that sonic boom, you have to master an intense, highly physical 3-step rhythm. Step 1 is the pull. With your rod butt securely in a gimbal, you stretch your arm forward and reel in the slack. 2 is the sweep. You pull back in a sharp, strong motion, kind of like punching yourself in the chest, sweeping the rod to displace a massive amount of water, which creates forward splash and thick bubble trails. And then 3, the pause. Which brings us right into Section 3, the deadly pause trap. When to expect the hit. Let's actually slow down the pace here for a second and build some tension, because we are transitioning to the absolute most critical fraction of a second in all of GT fishing. It really begs the question, why do Giant Trevally almost always hit on the pause? Think about it. You've just created all this violent noise, splashing, and commotion. So why does the strike invariably happen when the lure completely stops moving? Well, we're setting a very specific, calculated psychological trap. Here's the brilliant logic behind it. Out in the wild, when a predator violently smashes into a bait ball, the stunned, panicked baitfish are left sitting helplessly on the surface. That pause between your rod sweeps perfectly mimics a wounded fish that has just been attacked. That brief moment of stillness, that is the ultimate trigger. A GT sees an easy, helpless meal, commits fully, and just completely annihilates your lure. Moving to Section 4, heavy-duty gear check. Don't turn tackle into scrap metal. I have to warn you right now, if you bring average gear to a GT height, the reef gangster will instantly destroy it. Seriously, you cannot finesse a Giant Trevally. Your setup has to be exceptionally heavy-duty. We're talking popping rods specifically rated for PE8 to PE10 braid. Your main line needs to be 80 to 130 pound, zero-stretch braided line. And you'll be casting heavy-duty surface poppers. Actually, this is exactly why I designed Coriander's GT Slayer poppers, which you can grab onto raws, because they are specifically engineered to take this kind of abuse. And crucially, you absolutely need supple Japanese monofilament shock leaders. Otherwise, the fish will simply slice your line on the sharp coral. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what happens at the very end of your line. A standard, cheap lure simply will not survive. Your lure body must feature solid through-wire construction. Without it, the crushing jaw pressure of a GT will literally snap a wooden or plastic lure right in half. And your hooks must be specialized heavy-gauge trebles, because a GT will effortlessly straighten out standard metal. Pro-grade lure engineering is a non-negotiable insurance policy against losing a trophy. Finally, Section 5, Surviving the Impact Strike, the golden rule of drag math. All right, so your gear is perfect, you've worked the lure flawlessly, the GT took the pause trap, and you've set the hook hard. Now we advance to the terrifying 30 seconds immediately following the hookup. The crucial point here is that hooking and landing a monster all comes down to math before you even cast. To account for violent variables, you must set your drag to exactly 1/3 of your line's maximum breaking strength. So if you're using a 100-pound braid, your drag should be putting out around 33 pounds, roughly 10 to 12 kilograms of strike drag. So why only 1/3? We have to look at the physics of a rapidly emptying spool. When that GT realizes it's hooked, it's going to make a searing run straight toward the reef, stripping up to 200 meters of line. And as that line leaves the reel, the diameter of the spool actively decreases. Less line coming off with each turn means the drag actually becomes exponentially tighter, getting smoking hot. But you can't let them run forever. Once that hook is driven deep, your entire job is to stop them before they wrap you around the coral. Sweep the rod back hard and decisively. You must turn the fish's head away from the reef. This is a highly physical event. You've got to plant your feet, brace properly, and use your entire body as a lever to muscle the GT away from its razor-sharp home. Let the drag work when they surge, but the very moment they pause, recover that line smoothly. So let's bring it all together. You now understand the predatory biology, the intense physics of popping, the psychology of the pause trap, and the strict mechanics of surviving the impact strike. I'll leave you with this. You now know the physics and the tactics. Are you prepared to battle the king of the reef, or will you be the one getting bullied? Giant Trevally fishing is demanding, it's brutal, and it's absolutely thrilling. Let that sink in. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Don't forget to check out the GT Slayer poppers on Duraz to upgrade your arsenal, and keep learning out there.